And do you want to start sharing the screen now? Are we all set?
Yeah, we can move on.
We are 1 minute to go live.
We start. 1 minute is there. Yeah. So good afternoon to all. Let us start the knowledge session on the topic AI for banking. Welcome to all the participants. It will be presented by Sri Sanjay Venkatraman, who is an AI and predictive analytics leader from Fourth Square. Sanjay Venkatraman is an AI and predictive analyst leader with 25 years bridging deep technical expertise and pragmatic business impact. The presentation, one announcement is the presentation will be shared with all the member banks. Mr. Sanjay joined from US. It is a different time zone. For you, good morning, sir. Then thank you, Sanjay, for joining, and over to you.
Yeah.
Any questions, participants? Any questions are there? You can type in the chat box, and it will be answered once the presentation is over. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas. So I'm Sanjay. I lead the data and AI practice here at Fourth Square. And before I get started, I'd like to let you know that we have team members from our side on the call here, including Mr. Venkat, our CEO, Mr. Sudhir, our COO, Ms. Neha, who is our managing director and delivery services in India, and Mr. Abhishek, who leads our banking practice in India here. So thank you all for joining. Let me get started here. So who we are. So Fourth Square is a global technology enterprise. We are headquartered in the US, as Mr. Srinivas said, with a large India subsidiary. What do? We do multiple things, but with regard to BFSI and financial institutions, we design and implement financial solutions, specializing in ML and AI and predictive analytics. We also specialize in cloud transformation technologies and assisting customers in their software modernization journey. And what kind of services we provide? We provide financial solutions. As you can see, that includes accounting, audit, credit risk. We're going to talk a lot about the solutions that we have to offer. This is only a subset of those solutions. We also offer data solutions that include machine learning and AI. We have security services that includes patch management, cybersecurity solutions, and finally our infrastructure and platform services, which has to do with modernization of your software and business application stack, and then moving your stack from your current environment to either a cloud environment, a hybrid environment, your own data center. We have a variety of ways in which we can help you migrate to a newer technology platform. To this. So when it comes to banking, here are our core competencies. We provide AI and machine learning enabled services for banks. So specifically around these areas. So any tools that you have, we are able to AI enable your existing tools, or if you want us to build new tools, we have those capabilities. We can quickly stand up new capabilities as it pertains to all of these areas. So we have customer service, where we're going to talk more about each of these things in the upcoming slides. So as it pertains to customer service, we are able to provide a natural language-based chat, which can go in real time and access information that the financial institutions deem as information available for customers. It can access, public information. It can access bank information, and is able to securely provide this information to customers. It is also multilingual. And if you're able to type a question in any of the Indian languages, it'll provide the response in that language. So that is customer service that we provide. In terms of, yeah, was there a question? Okay. With regard to document processing, so this is a core capability of our offerings. What do I mean by document processing? You can take any document. It can be an invoice, a vendor invoice, a customer document, or pretty much any document in any format. It could be a PDF, it could be a Word document, it could be a scanned document in image. We are able to extract useful pieces of information from that document and then be able to take that and provide that information to whatever systems the banks have in the back end. So as an example, if you have an invoice coming in, we can automatically extract key pieces of that invoice, like let's say supplier name, number, product, item, cost, quantity, unit price. We are able to automatically extract those pieces and provide that back to whatever systems the banks use in the back end. So this is something that we're going to talk about also. It saves a lot of time for the bank. We don't need people to do this manually, and we use the latest AI technologies to extract useful pieces of information. We have compliance. This is where we are able to take documents that banks have. These documents could be statutory documents. These documents could be compliance-related documents, or even contracts. And we are able to compare two contracts. We're able to do risk assessment with contracts. And able to provide useful information back to either bank auditors or senior people in the bank to say, is this document in compliance with our internal standards? So that is under compliance. Again, this uses AI technologies as it pertains to Gen AI, and is able to extract these pieces of information, compare it to what the banks have, and provide an assessment of risk to say, okay, how much is this in compliance with the bank's standards, and what we can do about it. So that is under compliance. Contract management, it's an extension of compliance. So what we can do in this case is we can take the bank's back-end compliance management and make sure that any contract that is, that comes out of the bank is always in compliance. We can enforce the compliance of that. So that is under contract management. Contract search is just content search, rather, is search across your entire internal repositories. So this could be OneDrive, SharePoint, any kind of internal repositories. We are able to search, and we are able to index it and provide feedback as soon as somebody types in, information regarding a particular project, anything internal, right, that the bank wants. We are able to provide that information back. So that is under content search. And then finally, under receivables and vendor management, here is where we provide a lot of useful analytics and our services for the banks. And this includes everything from credit risk assessment to understanding from a receivables perspective on how to use machine learning to make sure that we not only assess the risk before we lend money, but also figure out what is a good approach from a collections perspective. So we cover that entire life cycle of that process. So that is under receivables. Under vendor management, each bank has their own process around vendor management and compliance. So that is something that we are also able to provide services around to make sure that your vendor is in compliance with the bank's processes. So this comes all under our core competencies, from customer service, document processing, compliance and contract management, search, and then we're going to see a few capabilities around receivables and vendor management. And as we go through the next sections here, we're going to talk and see a little bit about each of these capabilities. So our customer service capability is all about having virtual assistants provide 24/7 customer support. And as I said, provide natural language processing. So which means that you just ask a question in natural language and it's able to understand and respond to customer queries. And why is this? What does our core capabilities? How do banks and other financial institutions benefit from this? Because there is no wait times. Customers can come in, enable the chat, and then able to get instant answers to common questions. And like I said, multi-language support. There is a diverse set of languages that it automatically supports out of the box. An omni-channel access, which means that we can integrate with mobile apps, we can integrate with web desktops, we can integrate with other pieces of software to make this process much easier. So our customer service automation solution can either sit on top of what you already have and provide these capabilities, or it can be a brand new capability that we can enable for banks. The next one is, like I said, AI-powered document processing. This is where, as we talked about, any kind of document that the banks have, it could be ID proofs, checks, contracts. As you can see here, all of this can be processed by our application. All that and our applications, our solutions can take in, or you can feed all this knowledge in a variety of ways. The most common way is to send an email, but you can also scan and provide feedback. You can automatically upload documents to our platform. So there is a variety of ways in which you can upload a document. And once uploaded, it automatically kicks off the process to recognize that document. And then the first thing it does is it's able to recognize, say, okay, what is this kind of document here, right? Is it an ID proof? Is it a passport? Whatever that document is, it's able to automatically recognize that document. And if we have any kind of workflows or anything built in the system, we support a variety of things, from KYC to contracts. So anything that workflow that has been set up by us, it automatically will kick off that workflow by just ingesting that document and knowing what kind of document it is. And then based on that workflow, it says, oh, okay, this is an ID proof requirement. So I'm going to extract the picture, I'm going to extract date of birth. It automatically knows what pieces of information to extract from it, and then what applications to call once it is extracted, what applications to call to pass the information back. So that whole process of document capture, document data extraction, capture, recognition, data extraction, and then integration with your systems are all seamless, and it is built right into our document processing system. So this is an important capability. A lot of our customers utilize these capabilities for doing document processing. Contract and contract policy management. So this is, as I talked about, for any kind of contract and compliance. You can input. So again, the way our solution works or enables banks and financial institutions is to be able to analyze documents. So this is one section. So you can input a document and then say, okay, what is this particular clause? What was this particular clause for this, right? It is able to extract any of the clauses that are entered. It is able to automatically summarize the documents. It is able to extract key insights with regards to banking policies. So this is a key capability of our product. where once a document like a contract is ingested, we have built-in workflows. So what we provide as a solution is that we have this entire end-to-end solution called contract and contract policy management, where we can ingest a multitude of contracts, and then you can ask questions about the contract. You can ask it to summarize it, a whole variety of things that you can do on the contract side. In terms of compliance here, uh, what we do, as we talked about before, is that we are able to extract useful pieces of information from it, and then you can, as in, if you, let's say you have a certain compliance requirement to say all of the contracts in the system should have X, Y, and Z policies in place or clauses in place. So what our solution can do is take that original document or what needs to be complied with, that big document that is coming from the bank's senior team, and then it can compare it against all the existing contracts in the system. And it can say, okay, for each of those clauses that the bank deems as all the contracts need to be in compliance, what is the level of compliance for each of these contracts? So it can ingest the master document, and then it compares it with all of the contracts that are there in the bank. And then it goes line by line to say, okay, the bank has said for this is the clause here, and then it opens up every document. It goes and says, okay, in this document, what is this clause? Compares it with what the bank says that has to be the clause in, and then assigns a certain risk score. The risk score means that how far away from the bank's policy is that particular contract, and then it assigns a score and says, okay, this is in line or completely out of line with what the bank wants. So we are not only able to take that information and compare it, but we also can say, how far out in compliance is this? So we do that with everything, every statement, every part of the clause which is in any of your documents, and then finally give you a risk score and say, okay, so you have these 500 contracts in the system. You have the bank that says this is how each of these things need to be. How many of these documents are in compliance? How many of these are at risk? So then you can just focus on the ones that are very risky instead of focusing on all of the documents. So this is a time-saving capability that many of the financial institutions and our customers utilize. And like I said, on the receivables side, we provide end-to-end capabilities for collections and follow-ups. So we have two services. We provide credit risk assessment service. We also provide, after you have assessed the risks of customers, we also provide collections and follow-up services. So this is an end-to-end service that we provide. So any time when payment reminders need to be done, this whole solution in terms of working with the financial institutions customers is designed end to end. It's very configurable, and we give you the capabilities as our customers, we give you the capabilities on how to configure the solution, and then once you configure it and let it go, it is able to automatically not only perform analytics, but also able to communicate with your customers in real time. So in this case, our solution has Gen AI based email, which means that it can send personalized payment reminders. It can send messages or actual printout documents if some of the financial institutions send out actual mailing to customers' addresses. It can do that. And most importantly, it is able to do prioritized collection. So we're going to talk about what that means here in the next slide. But this is a core capability of our product. So it is end-to-end, which means it not only provides ML services, but also provides the full end-to-end automation, including email, dunning messages, collections. So once our solution is in place, a lot of what people might do manually is fully automated. It's configurable. There is always alerts in the system. There are ways to monitor what is going on, but you don't have to touch every day to see, okay, for this customer, has this email gone out? Where do they stand with their payments? How much delayed are they? You get that entire dashboard with the entire solution ready to go. And as I was talking about collections here, this is something to note here. So if you go back in the prior slide, we talk about prioritized collections. So this is something that we have that works really well, is using machine learning to make sure that we understand how to reach out to the financial institutions customers. So there is a variety of channels. There is timing, there is customer segmentation, and there is also personalized solutions that we can recommend and provide. So our entire solution is not only, so each of these things, if you look at optimal timing, there is an entire backend of machine learning that is able to go in, understand for each of these customers, what is their behavior, when do they read their emails, what is the right time for sending emails out or reaching out to them on SMS or phone calls. We understand channel optimization, which means do we send it on SMS? Do we call them? How do we reach out to our customers? Customer segmentation, this is another big part of our machine learning operation. So we understand different ways to segment customers. It's not just based on income, but also based on a variety of things and demographics that we are able to segment customers. And where this helps customer segmentation is in a, one set of customers might do things one way. One could be demographics and age related. They could have certain patterns of behavior. Another could be, where geographically where they are located, urban versus rural, and how they behave and how they are able to interact with banks. Another could be around gender. How do males and females, how they respond to phone calls or SMS. So all of that comes under customer segmentation, and we are able to use that customer segmentation to make sure that the bank and financial institution is not only able to reach customers, but also make sure that there is a positive communication going back and forth between banks and customers, and we understand how and when they're going to repay, etc. So this is a big part of our banking solution. Credit risk assessment. So this, again, even before we lend money to banks and other corporate institutions, we have a slew of machine learning algorithms and solutions that can help you with credit risk assessment. We provide for data analysis, real-time monitoring, and also predictive modeling. So we gather data from a wide variety of sources and have it ready, not only from banks, but also from other institutions. And based off of that, we are able to look at patterns of borrowing, patterns of repayment, patterns of income, and also the general market in assessing credit risk. So this set of solutions goes hand in hand with our collection solutions, because you want to only be able to lend to people that have a good credit risk profile. So these solutions usually go hand in hand, but they're separate. Some only utilize credit risk assessment solutions. Others utilize our collection solutions. But the right approach would be to have this go hand in hand. Treasury management. So for the banks, this is another big need, is understanding the ins and outs. So which means how much money is coming in, how much is going out, being able to understand, again, patterns of customer behavior for both individual customers as well as corporate customers, recognizing the cash that is coming in and going out. So once we have some historical data, usually we ask for maybe a year or 2 years worth of data. We are able to predict with a lot of accuracy the the amount, the cash flow. And we're not just able to predict that, but we can go down to various levels and say, for different categories of customers, what can you predict from a cash flow perspective? We not only do recognize that, but we do intelligent forecasting, which means that now that we have 1 or 2 years worth of data, we can say where what is going to happen right in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Risk mitigation. So if we know that you might have a cash position that is not as strong, we are able to predict that, and then we are able to work with banks. So once we come up with a red flag to say, in 2 weeks, your cash position is not going to be okay. Work with the banks and make sure that we mitigate that risk. So our treasury management and predictive cash flow analysis is mostly internally for the banks to make sure that they are able to predict their cash flow. And this can be done on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. We are able to provide all of those capabilities. So this again is a separate offering that we have that banks and financial institutions can utilize. And we talked about vendor management. So our vendor management optimization solutions. This again is a separate offering where we, for any of the suppliers that the banks have that they have empaneled, we are able to look at their data and able to do a whole lot of analysis of the data. So it can be from value creation to risk mitigation, due diligence, and relationship management. A lot of what we do is based off of both structured as well as unstructured data. And what I mean by structured is once the bank has selected this vendor and they are working with this vendor, so all of the data that is going through the accounts payable system, their vouchering system, we get access to all of that data. So that is structured data. On the unstructured data side, all of the communication with the vendors from email, we can ingest those. We can also ingest all the data with regard to purchase contracts, any additions, any changes to the contracts with the vendors, their statement of work, all of those things. So what we do really well in vendor management optimization is able to merge the structured and unstructured data together and provide you with risk scores with these vendors with a green, yellow, and red to say that is at a very high level to say where does this particular vendor lie. So are the vendors doing well? Vendors, doing yellow, which means that you have to pay attention to these vendors. Or it could be red, where you can decide, what you want to continue with this vendor or not. So this is another solution we provide to a lot of our banks and financial institutions. Again, this has to do with suppliers, and it could be small or big suppliers. We do everything from software suppliers to hardware to any other supplier. It could be, in other words, it could be a service or it could be a goods. It doesn't matter for us. We are able to provide a vendor management assessment and also vendor management dashboard. Again, fully machine learning and AI-driven tools or solutions. And that brings us back here to our competencies. So this is the slide that we talked about. So these, again, just as a reminder, all of the services that we offer, from customer service to document processing, which we said where we can ingest a lot of the documents, to compliance and contract management, like we talked about, where we can ingest all of your documents and assess whether they are in compliance or not. Content search, where we are able to index all the internal documents from SharePoint and OneDrive and be able to provide information back. And then we talked about credit risk assessment. We talked about your collections process, and then finally the vendor management process. So the last one is all fully around quantitative machine learning and AI tool sets that we have. And that is what I had for us. And I think, Sudhir, how are we doing on time?
Bang on, Sanjay.
Okay.
I think we can take questions.
Yes. Go ahead and do you, Mr. Srinivas, you want me to keep sharing this or do you
No,
want
no, I
me
think
to?
you can come out of it and questions are there in chat that
Okay.
you can respond.
Yes, Sanjay, the questions are coming in. So
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me help read some of these questions one by one, Sanjay. I think, Mr. Naveen was asking in terms of what is the underlying technology platforms which are mandatory to run, like Adobe Engine, library, pads, and voice. So to manage, so that's the first question.
Well, can you repeat that, Sudhir, slowly? That was not very clear.
Underlining technology platforms which are mandated to run, like Adobe Engine or library platforms or operating systems or database, etc. Was it from Naveen? Yeah.
So there are a variety of platforms. We support both for our ML and AI. We support both hybrid and cloud, which means you don't, if there are certain restrictions of going to the cloud in terms of data or privacy, we support both on-prem, hybrid, and cloud models. Some of our customers, our ML and AI is fully in the cloud, either on the Oracle Cloud or on Azure Cloud. We have other customers where we provide our solutions fully on-prem on their own data centers. So our products utilize advanced ML and AI capabilities. However, they can be run both on the on-prem as well as in the cloud. They are not any one technology. We use technology set-wise. It uses Python and machine learning. They are not belonging to any vendor. It is mostly open source. In terms of AI, we can use a variety of AI technologies. For our customers that are on Azure platform, we utilize OpenAI. For our on-prem customers, we utilize on-prem large language models like Llama and Mistral and some of the others where you don't have to go to the cloud.
Yeah. So
Any other questions?
yeah, there are
Yeah.
so many questions flowing. So I'm just reading one by one from the top as they have come. I think the next question, probably, I think you explained. Hello, please explain which AI models are you using for each of these services or applications?
So I will provide information back. There is a lot of info for each of these services, so we can provide a more detailed response. So it is not model, right? So there are two parts. Machine learning models are utilized for structured data. So if you look at our services, you can separate them into two services. So when you think about credit risk, when you think about collections, they're all heavily structured machine learning. So there we utilize algorithms like classification, regression, numerical regression, different kinds of statistical models and analysis on structured data. When it comes to contracts, customer service, some of the other capabilities, we use AI and Gen AI as part of our offerings. For AI and Gen AI, like I said, we use a variety of large language models depending on the bank's needs. The most commonly used ones are OpenAI, which is hosted on Azure. It is very secure. Or we can use Llama, Mistral, etc., which can be deployed on the customer's own data centers. So those are the Gen AI and AI models. The machine learning models are all open source. Customers don't have to pay for them. What we have done is we have taken the open source models and we have put in the work to make sure that it is fine-tuned for that business problem, to address that particular business problem. So And that can be on-prem also.
Okay, the next question, Sanjay, is that can we decide on which LLM can be used, or is it with the GPT-4 only?
No, you can use, I provided GPT-4 because that provides the highest level of accuracy at this point for image processing. But we can use, so what GPT-4 does is there is something in LLM called multimodal models. Multimodal means taking input not just as text, but taking input and providing input in a variety of formats. It can come through voice, from pictures, from videos, and also it can ingest all of these and also output all of these, right? So the GPT-4 is very good now. It is able to do all of this efficiently. But there are also other models like Llama, like Mistral, which are relatively cheaper, but their accuracy is not as high as GPT-4. But from a security perspective, it can be deployed on the data center of the banks itself. It is going to require special hardware purchase because to run LLM models internally means there is a specific hardware. It cannot be run on generalized hardware. That needs to be specific hardware that needs to be purchased with specific AMD and NVIDIA related servers.
Great, Sanjay. Next question is this available on Oracle Cloud?
Yes.
Okay.
We can deploy this. Yeah, go ahead. Somebody else had a question there.
Yes,
So
and Sudhir, I think you missed one on the top from Navneet today. The model already learned one or training is required before using.
yeah, is this a model already learned one or training is required before using?
Yes, yes. So for these specific use cases, that is what we do, right? So our models that we get are open source models from the market, but it is already trained to this specific use case, right? It knows, understands, okay, in order to do credit risk, what are all the factors to take in? The model knows. But what the model obviously does not know is your data. So we provide the basic trained model for that particular use case. And then after that, once the data comes in, there is some level of training and testing that needs to be done.
The next question is, can you speak more on credit risk assessment for retail customers?
Can I speak more? So what we provide is capabilities from a credit risk perspective is we have a variety of data streams where we get the input. So there is what we call syndicated data, where we get access to customers' data. There is also data from the banks that the banks themselves provide about customers. There is also the macroeconomic scenarios that we take into effect. So based on all of these models and a few other data points, we are able to perform credit risk assessment. But our credit risk assessment model is very open. And what I mean by that is if there are specific new data sources that needs to be considered as part of credit risk, we can easily do that. Our configurable solution is designed in a way where you can provide weights to various data sources and also to various customer profiles or retail profiles. And you, for instance, you can say, for this particular set of customer profiles, here is how much weight I want to give to income. Here is how much weight I want to do for something else. So it is a configurable solution where you provide the feedback, or the solution is open enough so our banks and financial institutions can configure it so that the credit risk assessment becomes very configurable for them, which means it's very pertinent to them. And whatever criteria they want to assess credit risk, we can provide to them the solution that they are looking for.
Great, thank you. So the next question, Sanjay, is what is the accuracy of the document identification and data extraction? What data type and volume has been used to arrive at the accuracy numbers?
Sure. So we have with our customers, we have gone through our current customers, about 1 lakh documents has been processed already. And we are depending on the type of document. So the accuracy depends on two things. One is it depends on the text that is coming in. So for instance, if it is just plain text in English, Hindi, whatever language, right, like a Word document, accuracy is upwards of 95%. But if there is text, so let's say there is some pre-formatted stationery, there are things like that. The accuracy is still good, but it is not as much as the 98% or 99 for Word documents. So if there is boxes and things like that in the document, it drops. But on average, depending on the language and complexity, I will say anywhere from 85 to 90% we are able to provide for document accuracy.
Okay. The next one is how much accountable the model can be assured.
So sorry, can you repeat what
How much
was the question?
accountable the model can be assured. So I think you answered a bit in the previous question.
How much accountable the model can be assured. So
Yeah.
so the data again, so there are two types. One is the ML, machine learning based model. The other is the Gen AI based model. The machine learning based models, like I said, is coming up with probability. So it does credit risk assessment. It does all of that, right? So all of the machine learning models are based on probability and probabilistic factors. So what it will tell you is that at the end of the day, when it does credit risk assessment, and then the next time this particular customer comes in and says, okay, I want to borrow money from the bank, what we do is that for our customers, they say, okay, we want to be able to in real time be able to access the model in real time and then give that information and say, okay, what is the risk of, let's say, Sudhir coming in and repaying that money. So if Sudhir is already somebody that we have analyzed, we have secured a score for Sudhir, then we will come and let's say Sudhir has a score of, let's say he has a poor score. Okay, so he has a score of 2 or 3. And then Sudhir comes to the bank and says, oh, can you loan me 1 lakh rupees? Then in real time, we can access the model and the model will say, based on what I know, there is a 80% or 90% chance that Sudhir is not going to repay this amount during the timeline that it needs to repay. So where I'm going is that the models go off of probability and prediction. That's how all the machine learning models are. It is based on probabilistic models. So depending on the data that you provide to it, it is able to come up with higher levels of accuracy and prediction.
Great. The next question is how much manpower can be released for treasury management and how much benefits have been seen? This is specific to treasury management.
Slowly, how much manpower?
Released for treasury management and how
Yeah.
much benefits have we seen?
So what we usually see in companies is that there is a treasury function within companies. There is also the whole accounting function in companies. So they get together and then they figure out how much is short-term borrowing that I need to do from the banks, for instance, to make sure that there is enough cash flow. So from a treasury management perspective, that whole process of looking at what is the ins and outs of the bank, the people that are doing that, we have seen about 40 to 50% reduction in people's times needed to spend on doing this manual. So that is what we have seen when these models are introduced.
What is the accuracy of prediction of future cash flows?
So this is dependent on a multitude of factors. So if there is enough information that is provided about your income, expenses, cash flow, and the market scenarios, the prediction can be very high. The percentage can be very high. So by very high, I mean upwards of 85, 90%. So it is able to predict that to that level of accuracy. So what it can do, there are multiple levels of prediction. So it can predict the accuracy is always better, as you know, in forecasting if the timeline is much closer. So it can predict with a higher degree of accuracy 1 or 2 weeks out instead of 3 or 4 months out. So that is something to keep in mind. So the sooner the situations are coming up, the better its predictions. And also on the questions that are, what kind of predictive models are put in place. You can put a model in place that says to predict and say, am I going to be is my cash flow going to be bad? Which means that, am I not going to have enough cash this week to cover my expenses? So that could be a simple classification model, which will come up with yes, no answers. So there, the prediction could be very high. But then if you drop down and you want an answer to say, by how much do we think we are going to fall short? Now that becomes a little more detailed thing, right? Are we going to fall short by 1 crore or 100 crores, right? So now as we go in more and more and we want more granular data, that is where it becomes very data driven. And depending on what kind of data that we have, for fed to the model, our predictions can vary.
Yeah, the next question, Sanjay, is on compliance. They would like to know if there are specific use cases related to mule account detection.
Okay. So with regard to compliance with regard to mule account detection. So on the mule account detection front, we are, yes, so there is a way to do this. We are actively working to get a solution out specifically on mule detection. I think this one will require a separate written feedback. So there is a lot to discuss here. I will, please make note of that. We will, of who this person is, and we will provide a feedback on this one.
So I think some people joined a bit late, so they want to summarize the session due to other meetings. So I think we can do at the end. Let me look at the other questions. Could you shed light on the pricing part? I think we can do a follow-up on that specific piece, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the other question, Sanjay, is how to reboot, recover if it is malfunction.
There is definitely, so keep in mind that these systems, so the ML modeling system is very, so let me shed some light on the process of ML. So the way our customers use our machine learning models is that you feed data to it, the model runs, and then it comes up with an output. Then that whole thing can happen in the background. That means that does not affect your internal running of the core transactional system. So that thing is happening separately. So in case something happens to that run and it crashes, it is very easy to restart it. So we, as part of our solution and offering, we provide a lot of training and a lot of documentation on how to restart something that has crashed. But keep in mind that this will not interfere with any of the bank's regular processing of back office functions or customers and things like that. With regard to anything that is customer facing, we provide load balancing capabilities. So, for instance, customer service. So that thing, even if one aspect crashes, another one will be picked up and it will process from there on out. You're not going to see any kind of impact as a result of one environment crashing. So the idea here is that for real-time systems like customer service, where you are dealing with customers, we make sure that there is enough redundancy built into the system that it is not going to crash. even if one system does, there is others to take its place. For the MLPs, the actual processing happens in the background, and then the results of that data, right, is like I said, the way customers access our model is through the model API. So for instance, like example I was giving, right, for credit modeling. So at the back end, every night we process the data, and every night Sudhir can have a different score based on his interactions. So Sudhir one night can have a score of 3. We provide that is sitting in the backend. Then as soon as Sudhir comes in the bank next day and asks for, I want more loan, in real time, that API can access Sudhir's model and tell the bank guys, is Sudhir, can we lend to Sudhir or not, for instance. So that aspect of once the model is built, that data is sitting on multiple servers. It is not just on one server. So anything customer facing has all of the capabilities of business continuity and redundancy built in. So you should not encounter any kind of crash when it comes to any of the systems that are customer facing.
Okay, that's good. Next question, Sanjay, is it was mentioned that the documents can be classified as compliant versus non-compliant, and the employees can focus on non-compliant ones. Do
Correct.
we not need any human checks on compliant ones? Is the model 100% accurate, classifying as compliant?
So the models, so what we provide for is a two-phase check on models. So as you all know, the models are not 100% accurate on every document. In order to prevent this, what we do is that we provide checks to prevent hallucination. So we have a variety of checks that we do to make sure that the models are in compliance. So it is not just one model that this is going to go through. So every document that is parsed and processed is also parsed and processed. At the end, the results, right, are fed into another model to cross-check and make sure that what the model derived is actually correct. So in terms of the actual score, so let's say in this case, so the bank senior management has a document template that says any document has to be compliant to this particular document. Let's say there are 10 clauses in that document. So what our solution will do is that it's going to look at all the documents of that type. So let's say it's a purchase contract document. So it looks at all the purchase contract document, it picks up one by one, looks at that clause, looks at what is in that template that has been provided, and sees what kind of a match there is. So based on the match, it provides a risk or a score. So that is what the model does. Now, keep in mind that all the results of this model, that once the model is done assessing the risk of that document, we have another model that is going to look at the results of what this model has come up with. So we have two-phase check or support to ensure that the models are providing the right kind of feedback. So in terms of chances, what we have seen is the accuracy is upwards of 96, 97%. Are one or two documents slip through? Sometimes they do, but your accuracy is significantly higher because we put checks and balances in place to make sure that the models have the right kind of classifications and are performing well.
Okay. The next question, Sanjay, is we still have many more coming, and we only have 7
So
minutes.
time check on the Sudhir
Yeah.
and Sanjay.
Yeah.
So how much time and data will be required to fine-tune these AI solutions to bank-specific data? That's question number 1. And question number 2 is, what will be your comment about explainability built in these models? As several of these tasks today, are explainable.
So in terms of timeline, so like I said, our models are pre-built for the particular use case, and the models are configurable. So in terms of timeline to take customers, it is not that much. So we have had again, it depends on the specific data, the amount of data, the type of data that customers have. But in terms of just bringing up the model. It is a question of some weeks. It's not even months for us to be able to deploy that and be able to start up at the customer side. The data is what drives the model. So a lot depends on how much clean data that customers have. The most of our customers, the time that we spend is not from a model perspective, is not about our software, but mostly to cleanse customers' data. That is where we spend most of our time. So that I cannot comment because it depends on. We have had customers where they have had data that is very bad, going back 10 or 12 years. We have spent months to clean up the data, and we have other customers who already went through that cleansing exercise, and we were able to provide them good modeling capabilities in a in a matter of 2 or 3 months. So the range is high, but the dependency here is on the fit and the nature of data that customers have.
Okay, the next question is, does your AI model have any models on fraud transaction monitoring process, and specifically on money mule account type monitoring?
Yes. So the mule account I want to address separately in a written response. So please make note of that. We already got another one. So because it will take a while to explain. Yes, the answer is yes, but I will provide a more detailed response on this.
The next question, Sanjay, is, can you please explain how AI can be used in data extraction and data validation?
So by data extraction and validation, I'm assuming, I don't know if they meant structured or unstructured data. So in terms of unstructured data, we can, like I said, we use something called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. So that is the technology that AI uses to take unstructured data like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, all of those things, and build that index together. And then once it is indexed, you can ask any questions. So our UI requires very less training. It simulates, it looks like Chat GPT, so that there is not a lot of training that is required on how to utilize this. So from a validation perspective, what we do is that we provide the people that are responsible for managing this many kinds of configuration and parameter options with regard to how the end solution comes out. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a document where it says there is, let's say, a document on any particular topic around bank, around anything else. You can configure the solution to say how much validations do I need to put in place to make sure that the response is accurate. So you can, and that range can vary, and that range can be set up by our super users. So that is a technology that we use for unstructured data. And data validation, like I said, for all of our AI solutions, we provide at least 2 ways of validation. So one LLM is going to provide the answer, another LLM is going to check that answer. So that is the 2 checks that we have before the answer comes out.
Great. Sanjay, I think we only have 2 minutes. Let's see how quick we can respond to some of these. If not, we'll have a follow-up on these questions and we'll respond separately. The next question is, what are the most important use cases you have delivered to banks apart from compliance?
Apart from compliance, it has to be around machine learning. So that is where we have provided a lot of value to banks, and also a lot of AI-based automation. So this is another big area where we are able to not just do regular workflow and automation, but we enhance this with Gen AI and AI-based technologies.
Yeah. So the next question is, how can we adhere to data localization guidelines of RBI in case of a fine-tuned models? In case of fine-tuned models, the GPUs and servers should be purchased, or can we use AWS or OCI infra?
Yeah, that is a good question. So what most customers do is, depending on your need, you can purchase these servers and have it on-prem. If you have it on premise, then you are limited to the LLMs that are available for you on-prem. So what I mean by that is you cannot use the more commercially viable ones like GPT-4o from OpenAI or Anthropic. You are limited to Llama, Mistral, some of the open source models. Can you deploy it on AWS, Azure, and OCI? Absolutely. But most of our customers don't deploy open source models on these platforms. So if you go cloud, it is much cheaper and more efficient, for instance, on Azure to use OpenAI instead of Llama. The cost is less and it is very easy. It is a lot less expensive on Azure, for instance, to use OpenAI instead of using Llama. So that is how our customers have split. On-prem, it is open source LLMs. If they use AWS or Azure, it is mostly Anthropic, OpenAI, whatever is native to that platform. It is much cheaper and more efficient to do that.
Sudhir, we are on time, so
we are on time, so probably we will have to respond to a lot of questions here. Still unanswered. So
Maybe
probably
we can take a chat dump of everything that is there, and then
Sanjay, we will provide all the questions. If you are okay, you can take for 5 more minutes, no problem. Otherwise, you can give the answers separately, no issue. We'll circulate to all the participants.
Yes.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sanjay ji, for your
Yeah.
excellent presentation.
Right.
And good attendance is also there in this. What I want to say, participants, is we'll share the presentation. We'll collect the answers for the questions, and we'll share this one. Thank you all. Thank you, Sanjay ji, and you are supported by Sudhir ji, Venkat, Neha, and Abhishek. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.